Let's get started. With a shot taken from aliens? Ah, it's terribly modeled. Why did he use the plasma caster? Oh, I know. It's because you got to get that 3-dot laser. Fun stuff. Fun stuff. The best campaign. What to begin with? I guess we can begin with fixing the controls the way I want them to be, because I want to psycho visions. Alright, I guess I'll begin with the Predator actually has the most concrete of the three races. Has the most concrete narrative at play, at least for the first 3 levels. You're going after a Predator that was a Yautja. I guess I should use the proper race name from the comic books. You're going after a Yautja brother who has been captured by the loathsome Homo sapiens. The humans! And immediately... I'll describe the 4 vision modes for the sake of just getting it out of the way off the bat. Oh! Before I go there. The thing about the narrative is... I've made that up just out of context clues within the environment. But the clues you get are... A, the conclusion, borrowing that, or reverting back to that theme of I said, what are you supposed to do? You'll find evidence of a Yautja having been in the region before you, a la the fluorescent green blood on the ground. And despite me failing at those jumps, in a way it was actually a good thing. Because, for some reason, a switch at the bottom of the room activates a door at the top of the room. Figure that one out. Anyway, you see blood on the ground that indicates a Yautja had been there before you. And, during the little mission briefing things and your comm at the top of the screen, they'll tell you about, oh, this is where your brother went or something. Not your literal brother, but the brother in terms of tribal nonsense jargon. That's the way they describe their friends. My brothers! Which is true for some, but not all. Getting into the vision modes. I went off on several tangents. The vision modes, you have 4 of them. One is normal, which is just normal sight. Second one is the classic thermal vision, which is not what we use today. What it is more accurately, it's infrared. And it has to do with the way the light spectrum interacts with heat in the ambient environment, and the way it works here is essentially... in reality, the whole environment would be lighting up, but it turns out that those cameras actually do have a way to filter out environmental heat, and it would all just appear to just like it does in the movie and here in the game. It would just all be this bluish, greenish color. The other vision modes are your alien vision, which later on you'll find in Xenomorphs, because of course. And that vision mode is electrical. It's there to sense or visualize, highlight bioelectric and the electrical sources, even though it doesn't work on all things. It's alien vision, and it'll light up Xenoborgs and sentry guns. Because And then finally you have the metal vision, as I call it. It highlights your... It's mostly just used for you finding your death disc, or smart disc. It's gone by those two names in fiction. That's what it's for, and that's all it does. And I'll probably never... No, I do use it to find the smart disc a couple of times. And those are your vision modes. Come to think of it, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense that... I mean, xenomorphs would generate heat. If they're walking around, they have to metabolize to actually be motile. Therefore, they generate heat. Body heat. Because, I mean, if you look at a lizard, even though it's cold-blooded, it still shows up on a thermal imaging system. If you pause really quickly, I know I'm going through it kind of fast, but if you pause really quickly, the little screen cap for Waterfall, that's a shot from Aliens. I guess they took it because they thought, it looks wet, it's raining, so a waterfall. Because there was a waterfall in the movie. Even though it's not exactly the same kind of waterfall that was in the movie. I did a little bit of research into the actors they got for the F&V sections. And it turns out a lot of them were just members of the development team at Rebellion. And evidently they captured it just at some point during development of the Gold Edition. They probably just used office space, turned off all the lights, and, you know, bought a couple of costumes and did it themselves. It's kind of endearing in a way. But there are 3 actors in the credits that they credit as, who are they? I have them written down somewhere. Let's see. Hi, Shannon Black, Craig Kirkwood Jr., and Aaron John Mendelsohn, whom I have no idea who they actually are. They are there. And this is me figuring out whether or not I have the plasma caster. For the most part, I'm just going to use the wrist blades because I'm role-playing as the most badass Predator ever, who never uses advanced technology except when he has to. The real reason is actually I legitimately find it easier to play and to fight just using the wrist blades. I think the only time I'll use the spear gun is whenever I want to hit a Marine that has a minigun, for example, or I'll use the plasma pistol against face-huggers, because I just don't want to mess with that. Because once again, even though the Predator has a face mask, which one would think would serve a useful function in not allowing a facehugger to face-hug, you still instantly die if a facehugger jumps on you. Figure that one out. I suppose we're supposed to think of it as just like in the Alien movie, where the facehugger found a way to melt its way through the John Hurt's astronaut helmet. Another odd moment here. This, to be perfectly honest, I was cutting out, I cut out about 2 attempts of me not dying, but me wandering around. I cut it down for time. Literally, I just forgot that this keycard was down there, and that's the thing you need to progress. And even if I did die, it's not that big of a deal. I'm okay with showing that stuff off. Hi! How are you? One thing of note. The wrist blade and the Alien is the same way. There's the attack and the alternate attack. The standard attack is the single most useless like the alien, it's like a slap. It's just a little love tap from the Predator. I have no idea why on earth they decided to just make your standard attack so useless. To the point where you mostly just use, as I'm demonstrating, just the heavy attack.
Level 2 doors unlocked.
And another thing I will add, those of you thinking, wait, where's the spear? Well, there's a spear gun, but that's not what people are thinking of. They're thinking of the combi stick, and that's not in this game. That's in AVP 2. In fact, there were a lot of moments I myself, not in this playthrough, but I remember in coming off of what I talked about where I said I played this game in my youth, and then re-picking it up, I made the same misconceptions about, wait, where's the spear? Where's this? And where's the net gun? And stuff like that. And no, that's in the AVP 2. And I was thinking about that, not based on having played AVP 2 before, God, my late teenage years. I actually finally got AVP 2. Because you can't, there's no digital distribution platform that has it these days. I've heard Night Dive is interested in possibly bringing that to fruition. Boy, I hope they do, but whenever I actually get to AVP 2, and I will because I have the means to record it in HD and in widescreen, but whenever I do, I'll have a big diatribe about why that is the case. And to summarize here, it's a big mess of copyrights and licensing. It's a similar situation with what happened with, if anyone knows about this, the Adam West Batman show kind of went through something similar. It's same thing actually happens with Prey 2006. A game I've also thought about doing because I have that now. It's just a mess of trying to reason out where certain licenses are and who owns what. But I wish them success because it would be really nice to get a modernized AVP 2. You can't see it because it's in thermal vision, but we're looking at a Yautja spaceship, which was the goal of the second level. This is the ship that obviously the humans captured. And with it, the Predator that was flying it, the Yautja. So, again, in a cool Predator actual thing that they would do moment, what do you do as the would-be rescuer slash cleanup guy? You're essentially the cleaner Predator in the mob family of Yautja. If you look up at the top again in the little comm thing, you set the ship to self-destruct upon your leaving. So you gather up, that's where you get the smart disc and you get the plasma pistol, and you set the ship to self-destruct. But now you have another problem, and that other problem is there's still the humans still have a Yautja somewhere in the base. You need to either find the Yautja and get them out, or kill the Yautja, destroy all of their tech, and then blow up the base. Coming off of the Marine bonus mission, you should know exactly the way that it's going to end. In that we find a way to self-destruct the base. But again, first we need to figure out what happened to our Yautja brother. Maybe he really is the brother, because this Yautja that we're playing as goes through a lot of effort to find the other one that was captured, rather than just, finding a way to self-destruct the base and then leaving. You'll come to find out through the gameplay footage that the way to release a certain captive and the self-destruct switch happen to be interlinked for some reason. Although it is Weyland Yutani, and Umbrella designs their secret facilities in the exact same way. It is what it is. I was just running to that sentry gun like a complete idiot. It's not a big deal. Why? Because the Predator is ridiculous. He's overpowered in terms of gameplay for that reason and that reason alone. He is the tankiest, or she, you never know. He or she is the tankiest of the three races. You have the highest amount of health, and you have the highest damage resistance. And, further, you can heal yourself at any time with the meta comp, as long as you have energy, which is represented by the blue bar over to the right. And as if that was not ridiculous enough, in AVP 2, they actually gave you a tool to regenerate energy whenever you want. In the first game, it's actually a little pickup. You saw it whenever I busted open a little box on the wall. There was this weird apparatus with a ring of light around it, or a ring of energy hovering over it. That's the pickup to restore all of your energy. But if that's not enough, it also regenerates on its own slowly over time. If you really pay attention to the bar on the right, you'll notice over time it'll slowly get more pips. So not only that, the Predator also has the highest melee. The Predator's just overpowered. And it's a problem that has persisted in all of the AVP games, going all the way to the 2010 game as well. The design black hole, I would refer to it, of how on earth do we balance the Yautjas? And I have no answer to that. Other than to just video game it, and again, you make him overpowered in the single-player campaign, and you structure the challenges around him or her being overpowered. But for multiplayer, boy, I have no idea other than to just nerf the heck out of it. Oh, and you can cloak! Let's not forget the central, one of the biggest chief aspects of being the Predator is in the movie, it had a cloaking system. And a laser cannon. Not that I ever use it. I never use it, by the way. It's odd that they gave you the plasma pistol, because it serves the exact same function as the plasma caster. It's just... I guess it has an AoE, unlike the plasma caster. By the way, the shoulder cannon's got the plasma caster. If you've seen the movie, the alien, the Predator, God, the Yautja has a laser on his shoulder, and they call it the plasma caster. Plasma pistol serves the same full function, except it has kind of an AoE effect, which I guess they put it in as a means, specifically as a means of dealing with facehuggers, because that's what I would imagine most players use it for. It's also a really good way to just trivialize alien levels. If you're having a hard time fighting them, just whip out your plasma pistol and go to town. The plasma caster, in terms of mechanics, I should specify what does distinguish it. You have to charge it up. So there's no... You could just fire it. Just click, 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 fire, fire, fire. But it would not deal that much damage. If you want to instant kill something, you have to charge it up first. Not unlike the wrist blades, which... Through experimentation, I discovered you don't actually have to charge up the attacks to initiate a heavy, but I just do it because it's a good way of preparing for an attack. Gameplay depth, gameplay depth. Of all of the weapons the Predator has access to, I'll only be using the Smart Disc to deal with Praetorians, the wrist blades, and at the very, very end, the spear gun. Because, spoiler alert, you're going to fight an alien queen. Except it's going to be an actual fight, unlike the Marine. But in the meantime, I should mention that I should finally... No, I've already discussed it before. Aliens infinitely respawn, it's a thing. But no campaign better illustrates how annoying that is than this. It was occurring as I was recording all of this, as I said, oh my lord. They just never stop. However, that being said, I've just now thought, in a way it's appropriate. Yeah, I feel it's less appropriate for the Marine, but jumping off of what I said earlier, the Predator being overpowered, this is kind of how you would structure the levels for the Predator. Is you would actually make the combat extremely tenuous. Or, strenuous? Is that a word? Stressful? You would intentionally make the combat more difficult. Combat encounters more difficult. And oh yes, the thing that makes the Praetorians challenging and kind of makes me an idiot, but hey, I'm a stubborn mule. I'm going to kill it with my wrist blades. Because I'm telling you, this is the most manly of Yautja ever, and it doesn't like to use anything other than wrist blades to conquer its quarries. That was a fun interpretation of the first Predator movie. Specifically the Yautja in the first Predator movie. And here, after getting pounced for the... Oh no, I'm still using the wrist blades. You know, I never quite learned quickly enough, but I should be using the smart blade. It makes it tremendously easier. But the Predator in the first movie, the Yautja in the first Predator movie. Now there you go, numbnuts. How about you use something that will just kill them instantly? You don't have to prove it. You don't have to prove anything. So just to kill them and move on. The Yautja in the first movie. The only reason that it... and here's a demonstration... going all over the place. This is a demonstration of the metal vision. And I'm using it exactly for its intended purpose, which is to find the smart disc. There is a button you can use to recall it. Which is used to much greater effect and is far more necessary in AVP 2. But it takes energy to do it if it's stuck in a wall. And thus, I don't use it because I'd much rather use the energy for healing. God, it's so broken. Anyway, finally, the Yautja in the first Predator movie only fistfights Arnold Schwarzenegger at the end of it because Arnold challenged its manhood. Or its Yautja-hood. I'll show Arnold that I'm big man. My reproductive organ is larger than his. That's the only reason it fistfights. Which I actually kind of... I really like that interpretation. Because the Yautja in the first Predator movie is just a complete tool. It has no honor or fairness at all. I'm pretty sure it killed Billy. I'm pretty sure it killed Billy while remaining in stealth mode with a spear gun. It didn't fight him with wrist blades at all. First, Yautja's a dick. And then in the second movie is a bit weirder. And critics called it racist? I'm gonna leave it at that. It was just one of the weirder criticisms I saw for Predator 2. I like the movie. It's got Danny Glover in it. Who plays the exact same role as Arnold Schwarzenegger, because it's the same movie as the first Predator. They just, like I said, they just replace Arnold Schwarzenegger with Danny Glover and add Gary Busey for flavor. And that's Predator 2. As you saw there's the Pred alien, and they actually gave it a proper introduction, which is cool. It's better than all the other instances. of enemy introductions. Oh, correction. We use the Predator ship to leave. Oh, that's much smarter.